Hi, I'm Dr. Jane Levesque, and today I'm joined by two of my patients who decided to be proactive about their fertility instead of waiting until something went wrong. And we're going to walk through what worried them, what we found when we actually tested both of them, and how we built a plan so that conception didn't have to be a giant question mark. Thank you guys for being here so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's always my pleasure. And why don't you just give us a quick 60-second introduction of who you are, where you're from, and we'll jump right into your journey.
Yeah, I'm Monica.
I'm Josh.
We've been married for almost 3 years now.
3 years now.
Canada. Started working with you almost a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, hard to believe. And
Really, yes.
it's completely changed our lives.
I'm so excited because let's talk about the three main problems that you guys had when we first met. And I had to go back to your initial consultation forms as well to be like, what were they struggling with? I don't remember.
Right.
And the thing that I remember specifically saying is how excited I am about how proactive you guys are in your fertility journey. And you were very much like, we want to get pregnant soon, but we're okay if it takes 6 months. We're okay if it takes a year, we're okay. We just want to do X, Y, and Z first before we jump into it. So tell us, what were the problems that you guys were facing that you originally came to me for?
For me, it was low energy, some hormonal things, like I was having hot flashes. It was normal lab work, was told to go to. We were at that point, both our moms had raised us like more holistically. So, and that's the lifestyle that we were living to the best of our ability. So going to chiro, acupuncture, supplements, detox, that was nothing new for us. But also, in addition to like low energy and the hormonal things, anxiety for me, and especially around being pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big one for me. And I would just have panic attacks sometimes, just thinking about getting pregnant sometime in the future. And I think that was a lot because I knew I wasn't feeling well. I knew Josh wasn't either. And there was a lot of extra mental load that I was carrying for the both of us at the time.
Why do you think you were so anxious? Is it just because you didn't feel so well? And like you were worried about what the pregnancy would bring out?
I think so. And I think too, I understood how the health of both mom and dad contribute to the health of the baby. It was a little scary for me to think about, if I'm not feeling well, he's not feeling well. There's all this extra stuff that I'm taking care of.
Yep.
And I also have a sick baby. Then how in the world am I ever going to be able to carry all that? And at the time, it seemed like I was going to need to do that by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Josh, tell me, what about you? What were your main concerns?
Main things for me were asthma, allergies, tiredness. But I never realized that working on all of this, my brain would just be more expanding.
I forgot you had asthma.
I know. I kind of forgot that too sometimes. I forget that I sometimes have asthma, but it was kind of hard for me at first because my brain wasn't, I feel like my brain wasn't, it was too full, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I did all the testing, I did all the IVs, I guess, that I did.
Mm-hmm. We'll go into the testing in a little bit because I think that's a story that's worth telling, and a lot of people don't realize how something like a heavy metal or candida can actually change how you feel, But what did you guys put down for the impacts that this had on your life in terms of what would happen if you just kept going in that direction and you didn't get any help? Why was it so important for you to get help?
I don't know if I'd be pregnant right now, to be honest. I think I still would have been really scared to get pregnant.
And for me, I would feel like my brain wouldn't expand more. It would just stay in that 1% of my thinking. I wouldn't be thinking ahead.
1%, that's crazy. Where do you feel like it is now?
Way above 1%, maybe in the thousands, maybe.
Yeah.
And like our whole marriage has changed. Every single aspect has changed.
And we'll dive into that because, again, you've heard me talk about your story anonymously, obviously, on socials because it's fascinating. This is why I do what I do, is watching this transformation. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it's still definitely, I would say you guys transitioned or transformed pretty quickly, considering what we were dealing with. Tell me what made you, because Mon, like you said, you guys are not new to the detox world, to the holistic world. What made you decide to work with me versus with any other practitioners? What are some of the walls that you guys hit with other practitioners, and what made you decide to come over here?
Well, I think at that point, so that would be fall of 2024, I think I was feeling pretty defeated because, like I said, we've gone through like the worm cleansing, the heavy metals, etc. At that point, I was just trying to find anything to just like help Josh not be miserable with his allergies and for it to not be something not natural, just trying to find band-aids because I felt like I exhausted just my knowledge, my mom's knowledge, my mother-in-law's knowledge.
Dr. Google.
Yes. And my mom, she actually heard you on a podcast that she listened to frequently. And she told me, I think you need to go see her. I think she can really help you. Mm-hmm. She seems like she won't give up on you. I guess.
That's so sweet. I won't give up on you. Yeah. I won't. It's like sometimes I'm like, my patients are tired of my optimism. They're like, can I give up? I was like, no, you can give up, but I won't.
But it really was like, it was a leap of faith for us. And we said, okay, we'll get some testing done. We'll see what she has to say.
Yep.
And we'll go from there.
Yeah, and we did a lot of testing. So let's split it up because I do feel like your journeys were a little bit different in terms of what we had to approach, and it very much depended on what we found. So Josh, do you want to go first? And what was like the eye-opening experience for you in terms of the testing and identifying the issue to your asthma and brain function and all of that stuff?
Yeah, probably. I never thought that I'd be doing these many tests ever. I just felt like, wow, this is the most testing I've ever done on my body or on myself.
And some of it was more traumatic than others.
I felt like I was like a little guinea pig. Okay.
Yes, for sure.
You didn't have much testing for us to go on.
No, but I just felt like a little guinea pig. It's like, okay, guinea pig Josh is going to be doing this. But when I kind of really noticed more changes was when I started doing the...
So we found there was I don't remember actually candida for you, but there was a bunch of stuff in the gut. And then we decided to do the chelation, the testing for heavy metals, provoked and unprovoked, because we tested unprovoked first. Some lead came up, and then we tested provoked with DMSA, and that's when the lead really popped up. And I remember when you took the DMSA, you had quite a bit of brain fog. Correct me if I'm wrong, when you actually did the testing. It almost took it down to 0.5% brain function.
I was just like a dead zombie. It's like,
right. Right. But which is a sign that there's actually something there and we need to address it. So then go on and tell us about the IV chelation, because we set you up with a clinic that was close by. And you went through that.
At first, when I did my first one, it was interesting because I just remember I had this thing connected to my arm. And I'm like, I feel like I'm in a hospital, which kind of felt like it. But I just remember my first time doing it, I was just so dehydrated. Mm-hmm. And I was just super tired. Even though when I got home, I said, I'm not going to sleep. Well, I did fall asleep. But like, I could definitely tell that things were happening in my brain a little bit.
Yeah. We got you to sweat quite a bit after, and the poops were really stinky. I remember, Man, I don't know if you want to comment on like, what are the changes that you saw in him with every chelation?
I think... Well, I know with every chelation, he was just becoming a different person. He was more attentive to me, more affectionate towards me. He was remembering things. I didn't need to remind him to do something 20 times or me just take over and just do it, because that was just easier. And that was the mental load I was referencing earlier. He was sharing his opinions with me. Decisions we were making more together, instead of him just agreeing with me whatever I had to say. And how he articulated himself was just so much different. I remember him calling me during a lunch break during the summer, and he was telling me this conversation, the interview he had with a manager, and he was telling me everything he was telling his managers, and I just remember having tears down my face because I was just so happy, because I just could not believe how analytical he was thinking and the new vocabulary he was starting to use. Mm-hmm. And I was just really happy for him that like just wow.
I remember you sending me messages. I got a new husband.
Yeah.
Every time. And it was, Josh, do you remember how many chelations? Was it 6 chelations we did?
Four.
4? There was just 4.
That
But
was
they were
4.
powerful.
Oh yes, they were.
What did it
Nice
feel like for
start.
you? It just felt like your brain was turning on?
I felt like I could figure stuff on my own. Like I don't need to ask Monica, hey, how do I do this? I'll figure it out.
That's amazing. It seems so simple, but like you said, the mental load of like, oh, I have to make the list or I have to remind him. And you would send me a note and being like, I didn't even have to make a grocery list. I just came home and dinner was ready. And
Yeah.
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 yeah, that was powerful. It is still powerful and the effects are definitely long lasting. And yeah, I mean, anything to add there, Josh, in terms of the asthma or the allergies? Is that a concern for you at all, or when did it go away?
I know sometimes it's still a concern for me, but it's not as much as a concern than in the past, really.
I don't remember you having asthma issues anymore. Maybe a little bit of allergy and histamine stuff?
I've had quite a bit of that
In the past.
in the past.
In the past, yeah. Cool. Mon, what about you? So this is the first time we did lots of testing as well. What was eye-opening for you?
I remember that my GABA was 0. I remember you commenting
it was.
it wasn't 0.1, it was 0.
Yeah.
And I remember my copper and zinc levels, they were out of balance, which I remember can contribute to the feelings of anxiousness. I remember, aside from the testing, I remember I wasn't even into the full protocol for not even 2 weeks. And I remember messaging you saying that I want to work out.
Yeah.
And for that short amount of time, seeing results so quickly was just amazing to me when we added some key things into what my body really needed then.
We did the heavy metals for you as well.
Yeah.
But they came up in the range where this is totally fine and we could just do it through regular. We don't need chelation. We'll just do some really good binders and we'll move the gut. And that wasn't a quote unquote concern for you. Then as we moved all of those things, and I think as Josh really stepped into like himself and being himself, that's where I really saw your nervous system relax fully. We went from being scared to conceive to then being excited and looking forward to it. Do you remember when...
And not being able to wait.
And not being able to wait, right. Do you remember when that switch happened?
I think sometime during the summer. Yeah.
And was it just your nervous system? What do you think contributed to that switch from I'm so scared to I can't wait?
I think my energy levels. I think seeing Josh change, seeing our relationship change, and I think through all that, becoming more confident in myself.
It's funny. It just becomes this thing when you're really in tune. You know, you can feel that the body is ready, that you guys are ready. And we wanted to make sure that I remember the tests, the chelation test. I accidentally messed up the one that I shared with the other practitioner, and it looked like the chelation levels were the same. And I'm like, something isn't right. And he calls me, he's like, no, you've uploaded something incorrectly from the platform. And I was like, okay, let me check. And we checked and it was just back to 0. And that was really cool to see as well. It's just cool to see the data when you're like, this is happening. And then it's like, never mind, it's out and I feel different, but I can also see it on the data. Let's talk about some of the challenges, though. What were some of the challenges and how did you overcome them going through this process? Because obviously it's really great. It's cool. We're overcoming all these things, but it's not as smooth as people think.
I think for us, it was probably navigating Josh's chelation and how that changed our relationship. I remember for a few weeks there, we kind of had to learn how to be married again and live under the same roof. Josh was learning to present his ideas to me and give new ideas and give his opinions. And I was learning to
accept them.
Let go. I'm sorry?
How to accept them?
Yes. Let go of some of the responsibilities that I'd been holding and kind of just learning that new balance between us. I think one of us made the comment that this was the best marriage therapy we could have ever gotten.
Oh, it's funny because people are like, this is like a 2-in-1 or all in one. And I'm like, well, listen, whatever the problem is, we need to solve it.
Yeah.
And I find that it's, whether it's the pathogens or the toxin that's actually doesn't allow you guys to communicate in the way that you want to, because you usually see the love underneath, but then there's some stuff on top that we have to deal with in order to get to the root and just to feel the love for one another without the reactions. Josh, what about you? Any challenges that you would say from your perspective?
From my perspective, it would have to be actually like expressing my opinion and whatnot. I wasn't really used to that, really. I was just used to being like maybe this isn't the right word, but maybe the peacekeeper, if that makes sense. Be on everyone's side, even though you kind of had to pick one. I was kind of in the middle guy.
Mm-hmm. Did you just feel like you didn't want to be a peacekeeper anymore? Is that what it just felt like?
Yeah, like I wanted to state my opinion. I just didn't know how.
I love it. I get goosebumps when you talk about it.
Yeah, once, I started doing everything, the IVs and whatnot, then I just felt like I could speak more. And it's like people say, like, you're going to offend people and people are not going to like your opinion.
Well, tell us where you are now. Obviously we are pregnant. How far along? How was the journey? What are some of the other benefits that you didn't expect maybe?
I'm 28 weeks pregnant. We're very
close.
Yes,
very close.
Very excited to meet our baby. I think something that we didn't expect was how our food palettes have changed through doing all this work. Mm-hmm. And I know at the beginning we had done like a food journal for you, and you had looked at what we were eating from day to day. And it's interesting to see how through all the work we've done with you, how that's changed and what foods we gravitate towards now and what foods we don't gravitate towards from. So that's been really, really interesting to see evolve.
For sure. Anything else, Josh?
No, she was spot on.
That's so funny. Do you think you guys could eat what you ate before?
I probably think no. Not as much as I probably could.
What were the biggest changes? Because you guys are coming again from a background where you were already taking really high quality supplements. You were drinking filtered water. You were eating what you were thinking was really healthy. So what were the big changes?
I think for me, adding more variety of veggies and more of them. Now it's just give me all the veggies.
Right.
And I think maybe dropping some of those things, like we would have like organic sweet potato fries pre-made, but they had like some questionable oils in there. Sure. And that's a big thing that we dropped and started making our own.
Yeah, those like healthy foods. Just because it says organic doesn't mean...
It doesn't mean that it's actually that.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Josh? What are some biggest changes you would say in your diet?
I have to say that I don't crave chips or pop that much, really. Like if I'm at a family gathering, then yes, I'll have some, but I don't go overboard with it like I would do in the past.
And probably veggies too.
More veggies too. A lot, actually.
Josh is joking that our kid's going to come out and they're going to tell family members too that they need to eat more veggies.
My daughter does, It's like, why doesn't Baba eat vegetables? I'm like, don't get me started, girl. I'm just making mini-me's. Go out in the world. Tell me, what do you feel like was the biggest difference in what we did versus what you did before? So in the process that we followed.
I think looking at all of the testing together collectively and looking at Josh's testing as well, and how the two, because I know you've expressed how many times couples, they will mirror each other in terms of testing. I think making those changes in our diets, upgrading our air quality, having a Jasper.
Yeah, that was huge. I love my Jasper.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think being very specific with the supplements and not being on a quote unquote standard protocol.
For sure. Lots of tweaks and changes. And honestly, from my perspective, I do still feel limited in some of the testing that we could have done with you guys being in Canada. And I know you actually ended up traveling to the US because you have family in the US, Mon, to do some of the testing. I also think we worked the system the best that we could and got the information that we needed, and then really followed the symptoms and the signs of how you guys are doing day to day as our gauge to say, yes, we're ready, or no, something else is missing.
And I think this is the best gift that we could have ever given to our baby.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about like what are some lessons that the listeners and the viewers can learn from your case? Because when we first met, I was really excited that you wanted to be here proactively instead of waiting until you started to struggle to conceive. And I think the fact that you were so worried and scared about starting to try to conceive was a sign that, you know, there are things going on and I want to be able to address them before on my own terms versus feeling like I'm already late. So tell us what you think the listeners and the viewers can learn from your case.
I think we were talking earlier about just not giving up. I think like for us, there was someone like yourself who was able to help us. And even though it took a lot of years to get there,
Yep.
we were able to find that person to help us, to guide us and help us through that. So I was feeling pretty down and just didn't really know what to do next, but we decided not to give up and just keep trying.
The perseverance was huge. I do remember as you were getting better, Mon, we almost had to have a conversation about you're not sick anymore. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And it was like a hard mental shift because it's like, but I'm so used to being sick, or I'm so used to having to put so much effort into being healthy that it's like, no, you don't, that's not normal either. And sometimes in the chronic, the Lyme or the mold space or just like chronic illness disease, we kind of get stuck in that label. And then we're like, I'm always sick and I always have to work extra hard. And I'm really glad that we were able to break through that limiting belief for you, that it's like, no, we're okay. We can get here and then we don't have to be in this group of chronically ill people. So that is huge. The perseverance on your part, I 100% agree. It's that you never really gave up. And I think that's important.
And then we also talked about that there's going to be ups and downs. And I remember for me in the very beginning, that was a big one for me because I remember I'd start feeling a little bit tired in the afternoon and then I get a little scared. I'm like, I'm going backwards. But it was just a part of the process of healing and getting better and moving forward.
I always say it's like this, right? But it's not like it should still be going up. And even your lowest points are not as low as they were before we met or, the lowest of the low just in general. That you're right. You get this big fear that gets triggered. Oh my God, I'm going back. And it's like, are you going back or is this just a little bit of a step back because your body, we're pushing it a little bit too hard, Anything else, Josh? Do you want to add anything? I think my lessons from you guys were to be proactive. If you are concerned about your fertility journey, and I remember when we looked at your initial consultation, I had the same feelings that you had, Mon. It was like, oh, I would be worried if you got pregnant right now because of everything that was going on, the level of inflammation, the anxiety, the overwhelm. And I remember even thinking like, oh my God, is this a premature ovarian insufficiency? Because
I remember,
and that was like such a big shock to you. And I hate bringing that stuff up, but at the same time, I'm like, my job is to uncover and make sure that we know what we're really getting into. And then when we got the testing back, it was like, oh, this is not, you're literally are just missing some nutrients. As soon as we gave you GABA, I think you were like, oh God, okay. I feel better. I don't remember how long you took GABA for now, actually. Was it maybe like 3 months and then after that you were good?
It wasn't too long, like a month or two, and then I didn't feel like I needed it anymore. I remember craving it after I started taking it, and then I just didn't feel like I needed it anymore.
Right, and because we were fixing and we were working on other components, and I think that's where a lot of people get stuck as well, is they got attached to these supplements, and then it's like, this is the one that I need. And in reality, your body evolves. And so as the body evolves, your supplement and your protocols need to evolve. So that was my one lesson, is like to be proactive. The two, with the testing thoroughly, finding out the lead and then watching you transform, Josh, was probably one of the coolest things that I've seen. I have some people going through chelation now, and there's definitely like a transformation, but I think you were like one of the biggest transformations I've seen in terms of brain function, because I have people with like 10 times the amount of lead that you have and you had. But the transformation, was it, whether it was slow or the lead was part of it, I'm not sure what it was, but you guys took the mental and emotional component of like lead and the spiritual component of what it is, and we did the homeopathics with it, and how serious you took the chelation, the visualization, everything else. It was just super cool to watch you transform and literally become a different person. And I laugh because, Mom, you literally would just send me messages being like, I have a new husband, and like you just couldn't believe how different he was.
And it's like the little me being around him every day. It was like the very little things that would shock me the most.
Because you're just and so that third lesson is like when we change one partner in the relationship so drastically, like a lot of the times the men don't get on board until you have been struggling to conceive, and not necessarily that he's not involved. It's just like the weight of fertility journey is put on the woman, and then the man is kind of there to support her, but he's never really looked at deeply unless there's some serious issues. And so watching how much your health improved, Juan, when we got him on board, that was really cool for me to see, and the nervous system regulation that happened for you, because like you said, you were carrying such a heavy mental load for the both of you, and it was almost like you already had your parenting energy all used up trying to figure everything out for the household. And then as soon as we got Josh brain function from 1% to 1,000%, you let go and you went, I'm okay, I am safe, I have a partner, I don't have to worry about him. And then all of your health, I remember you had a bunch of pain and you couldn't exercise and the energy was so low. Almost none of those things, I don't say really mattered, but they just kind of almost dissolved because your nervous system was so much more regulated, because I think of the safety that you felt now in the relationship. Those are my like 3 lessons and reflections from you guys.
And I think also what was really great is we got to do this together.
Yeah.
Like we both got to work on our health together. We both started going to the gym together. We did our weighted vests together. The whole process of Josh's chelation, I'd go with him because I needed to drive him home and then, take on most of the things for the next few days. Yeah, because, he was, recovering from that. And now that I'm pregnant, we're still doing that where Josh is supporting me a lot because I need that physical and that mental support, emotional support.
All of it, yeah. And I think that was a big transition for you in the pregnancy where you're like, I can't do anything. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of the point. That's why we got him up to speed. So you could just sink in and focus on growing a baby. And I think what people really underestimate, just because it was quote unquote easy to get pregnant, and this was my first experience as well, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe how much the body goes through. And I didn't do any preparation work, which is why I'm so passionate about helping you guys prepare. Because even when you do prepare, it's still a lot. Like people really underestimate how much it is, from all the hormonal changes to the food cravings to the mental emotional stretches that happen every 6 weeks to all these other
the extra cooking
and random how many the first trimester, how many different stores did you go to, Josh, to go get the thing that she really wanted?
How many meals did I make in one day?
Right. Yeah. And she would just want to throw up.
Maybe on I don't know, Hell's Kitchen or something.
I know.
No.
I remember I made this post like 5 years ago. It was like, tell me you're pregnant without telling me that you're pregnant, and I'm just under covers eating a piece of toast. That's all I can handle. And then it's like, bring me something else now. I'm ready. And it's awful. But at the same time, it's just kind of what's needed. So I'm really proud of you guys. Thank you so much for being here. You have no idea how inspiring it is to hear your story. And like I said, it's super cool to see you come from where you were. And now, has it been 18 months or a little bit over? Almost 2 years ago, I guess, we started working together.
Like
a
year and a half. Yeah. We're, 28 weeks pregnant and we're getting ready. We're getting ready to meet our baby.
Yeah.
I'm also just equally excited. Of course, you're more excited, but I'm always very excited.
Of course, yeah.
And the baby recognizes me because it's been hearing my voice for a long time. So I always get a good smile when you introduce them to me. Anything else that we didn't maybe cover and you think is important for people to know out there who might be in the same situation as you, worrying about what pregnancy will look like, or what their fertility journey would look like?
I think having someone like like a practitioner like yourself. I think that's been really beneficial for us going through preconception and now pregnancy. Found it really good to have those extra eyes looking in on things, another opinion.
I always say we work so hard to get here, and this is what I think is ludicrous, is to stop support 8 or 9 weeks after, and then obviously like some couples would decide to have an OB or a midwife or a doula, but the more support that a woman can have through pregnancy, the better, because the changes are so big and they're so drastic, especially the first time. You just have no idea what to expect. And I think it's ludicrous to just say, oh, we'll just check in on you once a month or once every 6 weeks, and then we'll just check your X, Y, and Z, and if everything is good. We work so hard to get here. Let's just make sure we do the good job. And let me look at the data and let me worry about all the stuff, but I'll tell you what you need to worry about and what we need to do. Because when we get to the other side, there's always like, wow, your baby looks so healthy, and I can't believe how quickly you're recovering. And it's because you've put in all this work. It wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you taking the time, and congratulations. I'm excited to get to the other side. But I appreciate you sharing your story because, like I said, it's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you guys for tuning in. And if you're interested in working with either myself or someone on my team, please fill out an application down below and we'll let you know if we can help. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you next week.